So that's a piece of white oak. I've got a challenge that I've given myself that I want to try and build one piece of furniture out of this one piece of wood. I've got an idea of making a little telephone bench, an entrance seat. Very old school, very old fashioned, but I think I can make something really cool. So let's see how it goes. That's the basic cuts now. Got the leg, seat, upright, shelf, uprights. I'm gonna do a joint there. That one's gonna go there. And then this one is gonna wrap around into there like that. But it's gonna drop down by 30 plus 30. So it's gonna be 60 mil lower. And then this will be the leg that goes down there on that side. So one thing I did realize, I was going to make this slightly skinnier to get the legs that go down on this side the same height as that. I was going to use them from this piece and cut the 2 legs that side, 2 legs that side, but I kind of like it being solid. So I think I'm just going to use 2 bits of white oak from the same batch. With regards to joinery, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do finger joints, but I'm going to set them out in a way so it's a little bit more delicate. A couple of finger joints on the edges, a bigger kind of butt joint in the center, and I'm going to put dowels through it just to give it a little bit more decoration. And then on the front side, I'm also going to do the miters on the front. So that should look pretty cool. Okay, so this is the piece that's got fingers on it already, so I need to transfer those lines onto this piece of wood here. You could just mark it up, get it pretty accurate, but I'm going to show you a way that you'll be able to see the lines, see which side you're supposed to be cutting, just to make sure that you're not going to get it wrong. First thing we're going to do, get the piece into the right place. Grab some blue tape, mark it across the top. Grab a couple of knives with a flat edge on the one side and start trimming with the flat edge on the side. Now, do the same thing for the other face. Okay, ready to cut. Right, what I'm going to do is get a little mortise and tenon going in here. So mortise and tenon on that side, that fits into there. So let's measure that up. Shouldn't take too long, maybe 30 minutes. This is the width of the shelf it wraps around, so that should line up with that. I am going to just make a pencil mark in there, on these shoulders. And then take a ruler across those 4 marks. That should give us the inside of this where that'll line up there. Now I need to get how deep I can make the shoulder on here. We can use the height from this part that fits in there. Should be exactly the same as that, so I'm just going to reference it, flipping it over, tight that side, and then take a pin line across here. I've been making these about 2 millimeters extra, so it'll leave 2 millimeters extra there. See, it's above the line, so we've got a little bit of excess. We're going to trim that down because it's not going to be a through mortise and tenon, it's going to be a stock mortise and tenon. It's going to be hidden inside. I think I'm going to go down about half the depth of this wood, which is 30 mil, so let's go 20 mil down. So I'm going to take my marking gauge, line it up to that line that I made there, just so that I can reference this all the way around. Light passes and then go a bit deeper. Right, so I don't need to have a solid mortise and tenon going all the way across. I can do maybe 2 rather than 3. So I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to measure 30 mil in from their sides, square, up there, and then I am going to mark these in at 130 mil. So I'm going to give it a 100 mil tenon, quite a stocky tenon. Put a square line down. I'm going to cut these down, cut these shoulders off, cut that middle out, and then we can work on the faces, and then we can mark up the rest of it. I'm not going to saw all the way down to the line just yet. A few mils away from the line there. Okay, all 4 close to the line, not exactly on the line. What I want to do is chop out rim here all the way around so that I get a nice crisp shoulder line. So at this point we've done the tenons. So what I need to do now is do the mortises into this piece here, and there's the line that we drew where we're going to do them, so we can reference it off that. Get this clamped together so that we can do a real-time measure off the piece. So let's get these mortises in. Okay, this will be easier to use. I made this little block a little while ago as a reference block. So if I line that, those points up there, I can pop this on, get it all lined up with the edge. Just make sure that this is square. That all on there. And there. Check that's all still in line there. So we're going to grab a mortising chisel. This is a 12mm. My recess is about 13, but that should be good. Right, so I had to resort to the normal bevel chisel. I completely missed the fact that I'm going perpendicular to the grain, so a mortise chisel would not work so well, but got them out, got them nice and neat, got it sitting flush. Right, I'm going to make 2 simple legs and a stretcher that goes across. And for the legs, much like the top of the telephone bench, everything's going to come out of this one piece of white oak. Got a little bit of sapwood underneath here, which I think will be cut away, so I've just got to be strategic with how I mark this up. But yeah, this is the Bojan leg chair template that I made a little while ago, and I love the shape. I'm going to follow that same shape. I'm going to put this down on this board, mark it up. That's the 2 legs. Now what I want to do is I want to take a piece from across here for the long stretcher, and then 2 small sections here. There's a crack on the end of this wood here, so I'm going to try and avoid that. I'm going to use this ruler because it's almost the right thickness. And then 2 more on this side here. That's it. This piece here will get cut down into 2 for a Y-shaped joint. There's the stretcher. 2 legs, let's chop this on the bandsaw. Okay, so I've got the legs roughed out now. The one long stretcher, I've milled it down, so I'm going to mill this one down to be the same thickness there. So these 2 will be the same dimension, and it will sit in the leg like that, kind of vibe. Sorry, the kids are here today, so they're making noise. Just let me record this. Go look in the car. All right, so I finished planing up the legs and getting them all to the same dimension. I just start shaping this one a little bit, but realized that I need a flat surface to do the mortise and tenon on, so that's what I'm going to tackle next. So the first thing we're going to have to do is just measure out on the legs. This is the inside of the leg over here. So this is the side panel. So we just need to make sure that we've got enough height on that, so that's almost to the right size there, because obviously we're going to have a tenon going in the top that goes into the underside of the bench. So first I want to do is measure up on the faces of these where the tenons go into the mortise and tenons on this side of both legs, and then we can cut this in half, get the tenons done, and then do the same thing with the stretch on the other side and get them all connected together. Okay, so first I'm going to measure out. I'm going to go 16mm in for the mortise. So I'm going to measure my shoulders around this here. It's not going to be a through mortise. This is so that I've got something to measure down to where the mortise and tenon goes. I've measured a rough spot there where the rail is going to go on this side here. I'm measuring the thickness of this wood. That is 22 mils. Let's try and get the center of this so that we can work out where exactly this must go. Let's do it on this one. Problem is almost center, 1 mil extra. Well, that's 22 and that is 34, so there should be 17, it should be. And that's the middle there. And if I said this wood here was 22, so that should be 11 off center. Alright, so a quick little mistake that I made here, and the keen eye woodworker would have seen this. When I was cutting these tenons, I made them perpendicular to the wood over there, not remembering that this leg is at an angle, so having a perpendicular line is not going to work. I did fix the other one, cut it at an angle over there. I used a bevel gauge just to mark the same angle there and then transfer that down onto that line. Okay, so yeah, don't forget that step or else your mortises are all going to be wrong. Thankfully it hasn't changed any of the geometry of the length of this, so still in the clear. I'm going to do the next one quick and then we'll go on to the next step. I've got the mortise and tenons done, and what I did off camera was I actually made the angles for these two bits of wood here. It was quite an interesting way of doing it. I used a bandsaw to cut it roughly to the angle, double them up together like that, and then use the hand plane to get them flat, and that's going to go on each side of the wood like a to make the Y joint. Now that I've done that, I've got my pieces ready there for the legs to go in and for that, and now I'm just going to use a dowel joint to get this Y joint together. It's quite a lot of long grain against long grain, so the joint should be good, and then I'll just put two dowels, possibly Wengi dowels or something like that, through there, and I'm going to do a mortise and tenon on the tops of these legs to go into the base, and then another mortise and tenon on this edge to go into the upright of the chair. So I'm going to do that now. Hey guys, I just want to jump in the video here real quick and just show you something. This is one of the legs that I'm going to use on this telephone bench, and I don't like it being blocky. Even though the rest of it's pretty square, I don't like this being blocky. So I'm going to show you how I do my trademark legs. So just this, a nice hand plane. This is a Stanley hand plane. It's a 5.5. It's probably my best hand plane that I've got. A fine liner, Sharpie, thin Sharpie, whatever you want to call it. And just by hand, I'm just going to draw a line about 5 millimeters in from the corner. Take it down on both sides. And then the back as well, same thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a center line from there parallel to that side. So all just rough. And then I will plane this side first, and then I will take another center line from there down to there, and you'll see what happens with that one. So let's start with those and go from there. So yeah, that's 2 legs done, just the way I like it. Nothing to it. Now I can start putting this together and gluing it all up.